All set? All right, it is 6 p.m. and I'd like to call this special meeting to order. While this meeting is being held in person in consideration of ongoing COVID-19 health concerns, we are also offering the option for the public to participate through Zoom if preferred. Instructions on how to participate virtually are included in the City Council calendar item listed on the front page of missionks.org. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audrey, please call the roll.
Ryhert.
Here.
Inman. Kring.
Here.
Boltinghouse.
Here.
Josig.
Here.
Bowden.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, since this is a special meeting tonight, we will only be considering the one item on our agenda, which are the COVID-19 policies and protocols. Ms. Smith, will you please provide your report?
Okay, thank you. So I think, my gosh, we're almost 2 years to the date, I think, of when we really first started talking about COVID and making changes to our operations and thinking about various safety protocols as we thought about the health and welfare of our employees and the public that we serve. It's been a long 2 years. I think we've been thoughtful and careful and conservative in our approach to many of these things. And I think it's paid off in many cases. As we've had peaks and valleys throughout this pandemic, I think our employees have done a good job. We've not had outbreaks among our own employees. We've not had outbreaks here at the community center. And I think that that's a testament to the policies that you all have put in place and just the conscientiousness of our staff and the patrons in our facilities. As you all know, in early January, when we were seeing a really significant upward trend in cases, particularly as a result of the Omicron variant, that upward trend coupled with information from the chief medical officers throughout the county and the metro about the increasing demand that was being placed on the hospitals and our healthcare systems, we even stepped up the protocols that were in place at that time, implementing a city mask ordinance. Since that time, that mask ordinance was allowed to expire on February 23rd, based in large part on the fact that the spike was coming down almost as dramatically as it had gone up, which is exactly what we had hoped for. And at that time, in addition to letting the mask ordinance expire, we also relaxed some of the other protocols that had been increased or tightened up at our various city facilities. Since that time, since that meeting in February, the numbers have continued to decline. And as of the time the packet went out, the percent positivity rate in Johnson County was 2.6%. It's up slightly today. When I looked at the numbers, it's sitting at about 3.2%. But I think everyone anticipates that hopefully it will continue to kind of stay in that lower range and keeping us as an area of low community transmission according to the CDC guidelines. What we do know and what we've learned over the course of the last 2 years is there's always something new around the corner, and we need to be flexible and nimble enough to react and respond to that. Continuing, again, to be thoughtful and conservative, I think, in our approach. And so as we looked at making this recommendation, in the past we've brought forward and we've had really significant changes in our protocols. It's something we've brought forward to the council and asked for your approval of, and that's why we called the special meeting this evening, because we felt like the direction that the trends are heading, what you're seeing in other facilities and really just generally throughout the community. I mean, I think every day I hear about another testing site that's closing up, sort of packing up, or vaccine sites. So everybody seems to sort of be rolling in those carpets. We hope it's not prematurely. But That in accordance with those trends, we wanted to get this in front of you this evening so that we could be responsive sooner than our April 20th City Council meeting. So as a staff, as we looked at the current data, public health recommendations, CDC guidelines, our recommendation to you this evening would be to remove all of the current masking and distancing requirements that have been in place or that remain in place at our various city facilities, both for staff and patrons, effective immediately, which would be tomorrow if you were to take that action this evening. But that we wanted to be positioned so that we had some benchmarks should we see the trends go in the opposite direction, that we could respond quickly again. And then really looking at the recommendations from CDC and tying that to those community transmission levels, what our recommendation would be, that should we see the trends start to move in a different direction, that we would, if we return to a high level of community transmission, that we would return to the masking protocols that are in place currently, which would require wearing a mask indoors in public, including while exercising and some of those things. I did not put all of the existing protocols in place, but I think everybody's generally familiar with those. As long as we're in the low level of community transmission, we would remove those masking and distancing requirements, obviously for both employees and patrons who felt more comfortable masking. We're always going to encourage and support the decision to wear the mask in whatever situation that you would like. If we find ourselves in a medium level of community transmission, CDC guidelines get a little murkier there. And I think that's a situation where we would come back to you and really look at the specific data related to whatever was creating the increase in cases or a spike. So, each of the variants seems to be performing slightly differently. I think those are things that we've taken into consideration throughout the course of the last 2 years. And I think in that medium category, that is certainly something that we would want to come back and revisit. But as long as we're in the low transmission, we would have kind of clear direction. We would have clear direction if we moved into high, that staff would know where, what level we return to. We would be able to communicate that quickly, and it wouldn't require us to come back to the council to move back to that piece. The only time we would come back to the council is we kind of get in that murky medium level of community transmission. That's really about all I have in terms of a presentation this evening. I think we're happy to answer questions. I would say that, certainly this doesn't mean that COVID and considerations related to COVID are falling off the radar for staff. We will continue to look at enhanced cleaning protocols. We've put systems in place with CARES Act funding. We're doing some things additionally with the FCIP projects in terms of bipolar ionization and air purification. We've gone to the touchless faucets, we've gone to the touchless toilets, a variety of different things that will serve us, I think, well into the future. I think as we look at opening the Mission Family Aquatic Center this summer, as we look at our summer camp program, we will certainly be developing and factoring in safety protocols for all of those operations. So it's not going away. It's not going off of our radar. It's just giving us an opportunity to have some clear benchmarks so that we can react and respond and effectively communicate with the public, and particularly the patrons in this facility, as things improve or change.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Before we begin our council discussion, is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this agenda item? If you would like to comment and are participating through Zoom, please either add your comment in the chat feature and it will be read out loud, or note that you would like to speak and we will call on you shortly to make your comment verbally. Please remember your comments or questions are visible to everyone in the meeting. If you are part of our in-person group tonight, please raise your hand but stay seated and we will call on you to come to the lectern to make your comments. When you make your comment, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Also be conscientious of others trying to speak and speak slowly and clearly. If I need to confirm something that may have been difficult to hear, I will ask for clarification. No online comments. I don't see any hands up in the room. So I will now open this item up for council discussion. Do we have any comments or questions from council? Yes, Ken?
Why don't I go ahead and make the motion and then we can discuss once it's seconded?
That works as well.
Does that work? So Mayor, I move that the city council approve the updated COVID-19 mitigation strategies, protocols and procedures for the city of Mission, removing masking and distancing requirements and allowing for future decisions to be guided by CDC, community transmission level criteria as outlined in the March 30th, 2022 special meeting packet.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, Ben?
Am I the only one that doesn't actually have anything in the packet? It's just the agenda. I don't see an outline of the new.
I think sometimes you have to download it as a PDF and it pops up.
Okay.
I have a hard copy I'll give you.
Well, I believe that the actual, this particular motion pertains to the, not to this packet, right?
Yeah, the website has the 5 pages related to this. I think you just have to download it as a PDF to be able
Yeah,
to see it.
that's correct.
You mean
And
the
it-
CDC?
No, the council packet was available online, but yeah, you had to download the PDF.
Yeah,
But-
I'm sorry, the CDC guidelines, it was not,
Oh,
I
got
tried
it.
to download it as a PDF and it did not. So we put a link in the packet.
Yeah, that's what I.
We
had.
put the small chart and I've asked Emily if she'll go to CDC and we can kind of pull that up. It was the longer version of recommendations, the expanded listing.
Yeah.
Didn't download from their website easily.
Yeah, Trent?
I guess I can make some general comments. I'm supportive of staff's recommendation. I think, I'm proud of the way we've handled this up until now, but with the way things are, I'd be in favor of removing these restrictions and allowing some relief. So I hope that's the direction we go tonight.
Any other comments? Yeah, Ken?
Yeah, likewise, I support the recommendation by staff, and I think that this gives us the criteria for moving to a more strict requirement if necessary. It gives us a guideline and a benchmark for us to accomplish that.
Yes, Debbie?
Is the city still recommending to employees that they become vaccinated?
Yes. And we did incentivize. The council approved the incentive program, I think in December. We had a conversation today. We're still sorting through some of that. I don't think we incentivized anybody who was not vaccinated to begin the process. We rewarded those folks who had already received their vaccines and I think moved some people to the booster, which is always a positive. So we will continue to do that with the information now that's come out this week about the second booster dose. Most of our employees don't, a few of us meet the age guidelines for that. Most do not, but we'll continue to educate and watch as that moves forward.
Thank you.
And just on the screen, I know it's hard to read up here, but that second link in the packet will take you to kind of, just more of an expanded list. Quite frankly, the CDC encourages you to just look at your specific business operations and make decisions based on some of those things, which is, again, what we've been doing for the last 2 years.
And so Laura will watch that page to see where Johnson County is moving and then act accordingly.
Unfortunately, as of last week or sometime, Johnson County has taken the bands that made it very easy to see sort of yellow, orange, red, where you were in terms that aligned with these community transmission levels. I'm hopeful that they will bring those back. Don't know why they took them off, but they did. So yes, we will continue to watch these, watch information again. We're trying to read every day on the new variant that has now appeared and its implications. And again, I think particularly in this facility continuing to be sensitive to particularly those populations that are not eligible yet for vaccination. So under 5. So some of the precautions that we've had in place for sanitizing those spaces and allowing for that will stay in place. Those won't be removed until such time as we can have a vaccine available for everybody.
Yes, Leah?
So if I'm to understand, we're really going to go by the low, medium, high guidelines that the CDC puts out as opposed to a specific number of infections or.
Well, those are tied to, so they're, if Emily, if you would go back to this main CDC page or so they, one back from that, which shows the map by county of the US. So CDC maintains, in addition to the Johnson County COVID dashboard, CDC maintains the similar information by county. So you can see kind of, it's small on this map, but you can see tied to that. Most of the country is now in the green. You can still see some red and some yellow areas. So that data is sort of maintained by both our county, but then at the CDC level. So we'll look to both of those and try to stay current with whoever's got the most updated information. I'm not surprised to see a little bit of an uptick following spring break. I think we all anticipated that could be a possibility. So we'll keep an eye on what happens there.
So if it were to move into the high range, that's when we would talk, or when you all.
We would
make
just
the
then move. We
decisions.
wouldn't come back to you. If we
Right.
move into that
100%.
high range, we would just know we're going to go back to where we are today. And then again, in that medium range, I think we would have to look more specifically at just, what are the factors?
Laura, one question, just to clarify on the medium range, is staff's recommendation that staff would be able to act and make adjustments that council would then ratify or reverse? Or are you suggesting that we would set a special meeting and come consider things if we moved it into orange?
I don't know that I can commit. I mean, I think it just has performed so uniquely over the last 2 years that I don't know that it makes sense for us to say this is exactly what I think if you're comfortable, I would prefer to leave that medium category a little bit squishy. And obviously if you have a variant that's performing like similar ones in the past, if you're looking at the impacts on hospitals and healthcare networks, plays a significant factor. And then, we might move more quickly and then ask you to ratify something. But our goal with trying to set the benchmarks is as much being able to respond quickly and communicate with the patrons and the public so they know what to expect as they come into our facilities.
Makes sense. Yeah, Debbie?
Just for reference, when we put something out on the website about what the intent is, we might caveat it by saying, if you've been around family members with flu-like symptoms or things like that, please regard your fellow patrons and don't come. Just kind of a kind thing, because so many things are flu related too, and it gets kind of confusing, but sensitive information, but definitely fact-based on, what we're looking at. And we hope people will follow CDC guidelines on their own time, but we're definitely following those.
Yeah, and we can certainly, I think early on, we put out some information that contrasted cold symptoms versus COVID symptoms and keeping that information up to date and sort of front and center. I know as someone who has a sinus infection and it sounds sniffly and has taken COVID test this week, and as we're headed into allergy season. And I think, early on in the pandemic, there were a lot of people who chalked up their symptoms to allergies and then, found out otherwise. So I think that's a good point to be able to just continue to educate.
Yes, Ken?
It looks like the counties of Leavenworth and Wyandotte are both in the high range right now.
Yes.
right, any further comments or questions on this one? Seeing none, Audrey, call for the vote.
Bowden,
Aye.
Thomas. Aye. Hilton House.
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Kuzik,
Aye.
Inman. Aye. Crane.
Aye.
And Reinhardt. Aye.
Okay, before we adjourn tonight, I want to share with the public that the video from this meeting will be available through a link on our website, missionks.org. There being no further business tonight, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.